Now, if you've been looking into e-bikes, you'll know that whether they're legal or not can be an absolute minefield. And a lot of people are dead against the laws that we have in England about e-bikes, whether that be you're not allowed to throttle, or whether the speed cannot be above 15.5 miles an hour. The power of the engine or the motor can't be over 250 watts. And I'll be honest, some legal e-bikes are very disappointing. They often seem too slow, and it's sad that they don't have a throttle. But it doesn't need to be like that, because in this video, I want to lay down the exact features I think every legal e-bike should have to make it actually really good. I'm not going to talk mechanical stuff like gears or the style of the bike or anything like that. So, first of all, let's start with the motor. Now, the law in the UK and the EU is that the motor cannot be rated above 250 watts. Basically, it means it can't take sustained power over 250 watts indefinitely. You may or may not know this, e-bikes, even legal e-bikes that you buy down Halfords, don't only put out 250 watts. They often put out much more than 250 watts, but the motors have been rated at 250 watts, and that's absolutely fine. So I would like to see a bike be able to peak a lot higher than 250 watts, and therefore you would be able to have enough power to get up hills if needed. Because the problem with some 250 watt bikes is that they have a controller and a battery that will not produce enough power, and when you get to a hill it just won't, and then you have to pedal yourself. So I would like the battery to be 48 volts, and the controller should have the ability to put out 20 amps. That would mean the bike is capable, when needed, to put out 960 watts. It won't be able to do that sustained because the motor won't be rated for that, but when needed, it could put out that extra power to generate the extra torque to get you up a hill. Now, the other problem is that you're not allowed a throttle. Only you are allowed a throttle, and that is a common misconception. You are allowed a throttle if either you do what Pedibel do and you just charge loads to get some sort of registered throttle, but you don't really need to do that because throttles are allowed to power a bike up to 6 kilometers per hour. So what I would like to see is a throttle that only works below 6 kilometers per hour, or if you are pedaling. So as long as any sort of pedaling is detected, then throttles are allowed to be used because you're still pedaling, so it's fine. If I get off it right now and I pull the throttle, it just walks forward like that. Now, some companies, namely Escooter, see me rolling on my Escooter with the SX250. Check out the video we did on that if you want. There's a green button on theirs, and what it does is when you press that button, for the first 6 kilometers, until you hit 6 kilometers per hour, it gives all its available power, all its torque to get you going as well as it can. Why would that be good? Well, if you're at the lights, sometimes the sensor does not kick in soon enough. Whereas if you had a throttle, the throttle would get you going, and then once you're up to speed, you can take over with the pedaling. Nice and easy. Now you might be asking, why would you want a throttle that works whilst you're pedaling at high speeds? Because if you're pedaling, then you're getting the full power anyway. Well, let's talk about the bike's sensor. The sensor is what the e-bike uses to detect when they should give power to the motor and propel you along. You got two choices, a torque sensor or a cadence sensor. A cadence sensor detects when you start pushing around the pedals, and then once it does, it gives you all the power available of a bike. Now, usually I like that. A torque sensor, on the other hand, detects when you push on the pedals, and a lot of people like that. But the problem is with a torque sensor is that it also detects how hard you're pushing on the pedals. If you're pushing gently, like I am right now, whereas this bike is giving me full power and I'm going 15.5 miles an hour, a torque sensor wouldn't. It would only give you a bit of power. Now, a lot of people prefer that because they think it's more natural. However, I don't, because it means to get the full power, you're always having to be putting effort in. And sometimes I don't want to, but I still want the power. So why have a torque sensor? Well, because they detect when you push down, it means they kick in really soon, which is nice. Now, if you've got a throttle that works in the way I just mentioned, you don't really need that at all. But maybe it's nice to have that ability to go a bit slow and then to step up the pace when you put the effort in. That throttle that works as long as you're pedaling would be handy for that, because let's say I'm pedaling and I'm a bit tired because I'm on a torque sensor, but I want the extra power to get me up to 15.5 and I'm stuck going at 11, I could pull that throttle and that could give me the extra power. Another thing about that throttle as well, I'd like that throttle to always give the maximum speed in all speed settings. So pedal assist 1, I'd expect to be going at around, 7 miles an hour. Pedal assist 5, I'd be going 15.5. But if I'm trundling along in pedal assist 1, I would like to be able to pull the throttle and then go full speed, even if I'm in pedal assist 1. And that's it really. That's all I want to say. I'm not going to get into what my favourite brakes would be, gears would be, whether they've got suspension, things like that. But what I will say is that I would like a gearing that allows you to pedal faster than 15.5 if required, because if anyone's been watching for a long time, you'll know that I've mentioned a few times that I hate the idea of someone going at 15.5 on their expensive new e-bike and someone sprinting up to them and being able to take their bike off them because they weren't able to pedal away faster than 15.5. But apart from that, in terms of throttle, in terms of motor and power delivery, those would be my ideal settings for a legal e-bike. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would that be a satisfactory e-bike, and what potential problems would you see in that? Obviously, if people use too much power for too long, you could burn out a 250 watt motor, but the idea would be that it only became available when you needed it. You could even use the boost button like the Engwe L20 Boost has got. When you get to a hill, you press the boost button and it works independently of a throttle. Well, yeah, let me know what you think. And any brands out there, if you want to work with me and find out what my ideal e-bike was, and we'll create an EVRC e-bike, let me know. So thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed listening. Thumbs down if you didn't, and let us know why though. But thanks for being here still. And until next time, ride safe.